I'm gonna show you a couple of things. I'm not against balancing the crankshaft. I'm against balancing the crankshaft when no need to balance the crankshaft. It's different to have, let us say, piece connecting rod, wrist pin, the safe that has here the connecting rod bearings, piston rings and all these things. It's different to be, let us say, 1 kilogram in total, different to be 2 kilograms. Different when you are talking about one engine that's 50 years old design or 70 years old design, different to talk about one engine that's 10 years old design. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Now, regarding the piston connecting rods balancing, screw it, I'm gonna show you my way. This one, what you see, it's step on a roller bearing here. This is a bearing, okay? And this is just floating. To don't have any friction, to don't have anything. Here there are 2 bearings. And there are another 2 bearings here. The height of these 2 bearings, it's exactly the same. That means if I get it, let us say here, you see that I'm touching the bearing and I can move it. If I come here, you see the same thing also here, that I'm touching the bearing and I'm moving it, all right? So this is how it's supposed to be all the time. Now, again, it's not 100% precise. Why I'm saying that? I have one M157 connector that I have it in front of me, all right? I have different adapters. The adapters are located here, the one that I have. This is for the engine that I'm using here. And I can fix also on the lathe machine one. So this comes here, all right? When I have to measure, let us say, the big end, this comes here, and I'm resetting the scale with this one. I don't want to measure this weight, I don't give an F about this weight. And I make sure that it will gonna be like this, all right? So, let me set it up on, I'll show you what I mean. Because this needs 2 hands, not only 1 hand. See that it does have a clearance, it's not moving, slightly move. This is to center the connecting rod. Okay, this is how it's the setup. But again, like I said, this is not correct. Because the center of the big end, it's not on the center of the small end. You can understand what I'm saying. So that means the center, it's supposed to be there. So that's why you have always, if you measure, let us say, if you measure the big end, and then you make the small end, and then you measure it completely, the connecting rod, you see you have 0.3 grams plus minus. You are not exactly the same all the time. This matters. Okay? This is one thing. And then if you want to measure the small end, you just flipping this one, you put it over here, and you're doing the same thing. You have to remove the weight from the scale, you have to reset again to be this one alone. If let us say this, it's not parallel, it's not straight down, and if let us say I'm trying to measure it like that, it's wrong. On the stock connecting rod, if it's not on the roller bearing, you see how it sits here, it sits like it's not right. All right, it's not right. It's supposed to don't pull the connecting rod like that. Example. All this matters. It's very important, the human factor, the human error, let us say. If you are consistent or your measurements, that means if you put, let us say, 10 times to have the same 10 same readings, let us say, or at least to be plus minus 0.1, 0.2 grams, not something more than this. This is one case for the balancing. Then, because we are talking about balancing crankshafts. On a crankshaft, you have, example, okay, the reading wheel here, let us say for the crankshaft sensor, it's attached. Example, this is a Golf, and this is inline 4, and this is flat plane crankshaft. Okay, if you get, let us say, a V8, for example, it's a cross plane crankshaft. Different one crankshaft, different than the crankshaft, not only on the weight, also on the balancing. Keep in mind, I don't know how it is the software. I mean, I don't know who wrote the software and how they're balancing and what they're measuring. You need to have some standards, probably. Then, you have, let us say, gear here. If you don't have gear, big gear like the Golf, let us say, you have another one gear that's sliding inside. Then you have the bolt of the damper pulley. As near as you are on the center of the axis, of the axle, let us say, on the crankshaft, there is not so much effect. When you're going out, you have much more effect. That's why you see all the time, all the balancing, drilling, or fittings, or whatever, inserts, it's on the edge, obviously, because it has much more effect than here. So you have the damper pulley bolt, you have the damper pulley. You have the flex plate or a flywheel, it depends. Correct me if I'm wrong. The damper pulley, it's been balanced independent, separate. That means the damper pulley that you see here, if you go at the agency and you get a brand new or a used damper pulley, they're not saying to you, balance the crankshaft. It's direct fit, you plug and play. Same thing for the dual mass flywheel, single mass flywheel, or flex plate. Then, if you have a flex plate, on the flex plate you have the torque converter, right? That's heavy. Except of this, forget about this. On the damper pulley you have the belt and you have the tensioner that has an attitude and it's pushing upwards, it's pulling upwards the damper pulley, right? Different forces there. Then you have the chain, the timing chain. Some timing chain is pulling up, some other timing chain is pulling down. Again, has some effect. Keep in mind, has effect also on the bearings. That's why you have to be critical, and I don't want to say anything else than this. Then you have the piston, all right? You have the piston, and you have not two things. You have 20 things, but let us say on the piston you have the piston rings. Fair enough? Yes. You have a smooth cylinder and you have cylinder with a cross hatch, and it depends what type of piston rings you are using. It's different chrome moly, it's different if you have a cast pistons, the black one and the silver one I'm talking about. It's different, the strength, how much tight will gonna be the piston rings if you like. It's different if it's running on the smooth cylinder. It's different on the cross hatch, and depends how many degrees will gonna be this cross hatch. Then, what do you have under the piston? You have an oil jet, right? That's spraying oil, right? So when it comes at bottom dead center, when it's traveling the piston at bottom dead center, there is some resistance because of the oil that's spraying there. Except the oil that you spray under the piston through the oil jet, as rotating the connecting rod and has an oil that's escaping left and right, this oil it's hitting also the piston. They don't have all the engines oil jets. That's what I mean. Some engines, some older engines, they don't have an oil jet, and they're relying. Let me show you one connector to understand. On the M157 there is nothing. It's straight because there is too much clearance on the crankshaft. You have seen that. It's driven by the piston and not from the crankshaft, the connecting rod. So, for example, this is an aftermarket, but similar to the stock one. This cut, what you see, it's when it's escaping the oil to point the oil upwards, to goes the oil up. There are both, left and right. This is for the Golf. And when you see here, you can see that the clearance is very tight clearance, 0.1 of millimeter, something like that. I don't remember the specs. This is from the PWA. Doesn't matter, it's the same like the CJEX. I don't remember out of memory the numbers. And I have a reason. That's why I'm following also the computer and my notes. It depends the application, depends where we're gonna run the engine, depends the oil viscosity, it depends like I said, there are so many variables. Yes. Now, again, I'm not against balancing a crankshaft. Let us say if you have an American engine that it's 70, 80 years old, the design, yes, you will gonna balance the crankshaft. On the European engines, it's not so much important, if you like. Especially when you are not changing, let us say, you're not getting one piece connecting like this, let us say, and then you put one that it's the half weight of the original one, or you double the weight more. So, what else I was going to say? To grab a weight here, okay, again, I don't know what standards has the software. I mean, what's calculating, obviously. I have no clue. I was never have a problem with the crankshaft main bearings or connecting bearings or an oil pressure drop, let us say. Let us say like that. In any of the engines. So that's what I have to say. There are so many variables. Do I have to mention that you have the compression stroke? Let us say that you're adding more weight as it goes up, and then from the other side it's pushing down. Is it making neutral? Is it it's having more? Then there is a time if you have a flat plane or a cross plane. There are so many things that you have to put down and start. I'm gonna say this simple. If it's working, let us say, for an old engines, this doesn't mean that we're gonna work also for new engines. From what I have seen up to now, what I'm using, I don't want to make advertisements, I don't want to tell you what I'm using or something, I'm avoiding all the time. We never face any problem. Let me say it like that. There are engines out there that are running for how many kilometers, and they're running excellent. Now, it's different. Don't misunderstand what I'm gonna say now. It's different if you tune your car, highly tuned with a turbo upgrade, with a full methanol, and you spray, let us say, 3 liters per minute water methanol, and you contaminate the oil, and you have, it's completely different than the normal petrol, let us say, especially in the iron sleeve. Different to spray 500 cc of methanol, different to spray 3 liters per minute. Okay, you see the difference? It's completely different. Different to use pure M1, different to use 70-30 mixture. 70% M1, 30% distilled water. Different to use drinking water. Now I'm going to the other side. So don't use drinking water. You don't want that. Trust me on that. Again, it's how you are using it. If you are using it all the time and you are pushing, you're gonna make, let's say, 20,000 kilometers, and you're gonna have the wear that you're gonna have an engine at 150,000 kilometers. It makes sense to you because the load and the RPMs are not gonna be like you are cruising every day, normal. You're gonna be all the time pedal to the metal. It makes sense. If you have, let us say, turbo upgrade, piston ethanol, sleeves, fuel system, methanol, you make everything, let us say, and you keep the engine oil for 15,000 kilometers, and you're pushing the car. I'm not saying to just cruising on the highway. You're pushing the car, and then you're saying, okay, it comes a time to change the oil at 15,000 kilometers, and you keep like that. I don't know, you're gonna make one or two oil changes, and then you have to strip off the engine and build it again from the beginning. It's huge conversation. And again, I'm not a software designer, I don't know how to call it this one, for the computers to see what they calculate and how they fix the software to balance one crankshaft. Once again, yes, I believe it's worth it. No in a European engine. Not when you're using high quality stuff and when you're near to the factory weight, if you like. So, again, before we test any piston and connector node, we have make a test here with us, with our engine. We have a blown also head gasket. We have so many things. It's not something like, okay, we get this one, has a nice weight, it's okay, the dimensions, let us say, and okay, we start selling it. It's not like that. It's not like that. That's why I'm coming crazy and I'm coming angry sometimes when some people, they are talking without knowing. So that's it. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. That's my opinion about balancing. Yeah. Like I said, trying to answer a couple of questions. This is some questions that been done from my friends, some other questions be done from online, from YouTube, let us say, or social media or whatever. I'm putting on video just to hear my opinion to whoever cares. Whoever doesn't care, just pass the video, obviously. That's it. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Now, you know what? Since I have a little bit of time, before I go home, I'm going to get one vacuum pump to show you something else. Yeah, this will be a different video. Yeah, thank you. That's it for now.